The Wheeling Plan Commission meeting for Thursday, September 24th is called to order. Please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Mr. Secretary, please call the roll.
Commissioner Dorban is absent with prior notice. Commissioner Johnson, I am here. Commissioner Powers.
Here.
Commissioner Sianis.
Here.
Commissioner Stylen.
Here.
Commissioner Zangara.
Here.
And Chairman Raffato.
Here. Ms. Jones, any changes to the agenda?
No changes.
We have no citizens' concerns and comments tonight. Consent items, docket number SCBA 15-26, Starbucks 310 North Milwaukee Avenue, appearance approval of a menu board, and docket number SCBA 15-29, Starbucks again, 1085 Lake Cook Road, appearance approval of a menu board. Do I hear a motion?
So moved. Second.
We have a motion by Commissioner Powers, second by Commissioner Zangara. Mr. Secretary.
Commissioner Powers.
Yes.
Commissioner Zangara.
Yes.
Commissioner Johnson is a yes. Commissioner Sianis.
Yes.
Commissioner Stylen.
Yes.
And Chairman Raffato.
Yes. We have no items for review tonight. Approval of minutes, September 10th, 2015. We do have one change, correct, Brooke?
Yes, there was a minor change. Do I need to read that into the record?
Yeah, why don't we do that?
Okay, let me
Yes, please.
pull those up one moment, please.
Sure, I'm sorry, I was moving a little bit. Oh, yeah. I'm sorry, Brooke. I should have.
Okay, it's on page 12 of the minutes in the last paragraph. It's in the middle of the paragraph. Commissioner Stylen reiterated that he still wants a discussion about Mr. Rhodes' ideas.
Yes.
That's how it shall read.
Okay, great, thank you. Is there a motion to approve?
So moved.
Second.
Motion was made by Commissioner.
Sianis.
Yeah, thank you. Dianis, seconded by Commissioner Johnson. All those in favor?
Aye. Aye.
Opposed?
Aye.
Okay, great. Brooke, other business.
Okay. What we're doing tonight is just a brief overview of the village strategic plan, tying that in with the ongoing Plan Commission priority list. And so what I've handed out tonight is a chart that puts together those ongoing priorities, as well as what we've been working on this past summer, and compares that to the topics, the goals, and the objectives of the village strategic plan. And so we can just go step by step through these by topic. First is the residential life goals. And so the Plan Commission has been working on this since May. The first goal is to...
Just, excuse
Okay.
me, just one thing. So staff sent us just the strategic plan that we have. Commissioner Sianis, I'm not sure if you've seen this before, but this was developed early this year?
Yes.
Early this year, and I think there's a board out there that shows it. So relating what Jones just discussed, general topics of strategic plan, you'll find residential life in the strategic plan, and for everybody. This happens to be page 6. So these are related, I assume. I'm just, reading this, and so this is related to the residential life goals that the village board, along with staff, have agreed upon for our goals this year. So just wanted a slight explanation.
Thank you.
Great, thank you.
And so the general topics start with residential life. And there are 2 goals that pertain to Plan Commission actions. I'll read those. First is connect people and places with additional and improved sidewalks and paths to increase neighborhood access. Within that, the objective for the Plan Commission is install new sidewalks per the approved bike and pedestrian plans. Plan Commission has been working on sidewalks and pedestrian access and bikeways for years. And actually, we just gave a brief update in May and just talked about what those ongoing processes are. Basically, you've already approved the active transportation plan a couple years ago, and now we're just carrying out those plans. There's the Public Works Department has a capital improvement plan, and they look at it on a yearly basis, and they try to implement new sidewalks and repair sidewalks as needed and as the budget allows for. And then the Plan Commission's still carrying out those plans by any new projects that come through the Plan Commission. There's always consideration for new sidewalks and bikeways and connections, and so that's what you're continuing to do right now. So that really there's no direct action for you to take. It's just continuing with your current, review process. So the second goal under this heading is to increase neighborhood engagement, awareness, and pride. The first objective is to prepare a map to identify village neighborhoods. Again, earlier in May and then later in July, the Plan Commission, along with staff, was reviewing and revising concepts for a community-wide map that identified the different neighborhoods and how do we name them. And that concept was agreed upon by the Plan Commission in July, and staff prepared a memo that was drafted, reviewed by the Plan Commission, as well as a map that was then forwarded on to the village manager's office and ultimately the village board. And so the status is we're waiting for a response from the village board.
Can I ask a question?
Sure.
And basically for Jim, right, would we, rather than waiting for some kind of feedback, could we do something like schedule a 6-month review to maybe ask the village manager or the village board what their feelings are and how we should continue or adjust, because otherwise it just might go away. Do you know what I mean?
Oh yeah, and actually I was actually thinking about that on the first one even. On 5/14, an update was provided, but this is now September, October, 4 months later, and an update, and 7/17, granted, it's only a couple of months, but I would ask, and maybe we can work with, you could work with John to ask what would be an appropriate time to get an update on some of these.
And just for the sidewalk one, I mean, Brooke, when was it, last year or the year before, the village board developed a policy to put $150,000 or something like that into the budget every year to construct new sidewalks, where in the past we had to kind of push for them, there's really no need to push anymore because funds are there and Public Works exercises those funds to install new sidewalks. So, I mean, that's the only thing we have left is to work on new developments and stuff like that. So, I mean, the first one has really worked out very nicely.
Yeah, it has, right. Just in general, any of these periodic updates would be beneficial for us if there's, and I realize that the village board will make some recommendations, and we really can't act upon anything. Why act upon supposition until we get an update? But
just a tickler file.
yeah, a tickler, you know, every 3 months from the point where it's presented to us, especially like the last one that went to the village board and the village manager. 3 months from that, and if we haven't heard anything, we're wondering if maybe we provided some wrong input, that they're looking for something. You know, granted, a lot of times people say no news is good news, but we just don't, we just want a little feel for what is going on, what are their thoughts, and if they say, you know, we haven't had time to review it because of other pressing issues, you know, at this time, you know, they were probably 5/14, they were probably talking, you know, I think they started doing some budget planning, things like that for next year. So maybe it's on the back burner, and maybe they're going to say, you know, we're not going to review that for 6 more months, if they know that. So if you could, you know, ask Andrew and John, in general, overall, some of the direction on anything that's, you know, over a couple of months old.
Especially when it's a strategic plan item, right?
Yep.
I mean,
yeah, exactly, yes. And that's a key, too.
We
Yep.
can certainly talk to the village manager about that.
Sure, great, thank you.
Okay, moving on to the second objective under this point. Develop a plan and costs for neighborhood identification signs. We didn't talk about this at length, but in May, we did present an overview of what the concept is. And it ties in with the neighborhood map in that once we have the map and we've identified communities and naming policies, we would identify certain neighborhoods and create a signage program to create an awareness and pride in that community through what we were thinking of is street sign toppers that would either, we hadn't gone that far, but either say the name of the community or possibly just have the symbol for Wheeling, but something to identify that neighborhood through signage. And so currently, community development staff and Public Works are working on that. I think Public Works is looking at the cost side of that, whereas Community Development and the Plan Commission is looking more at the design. And so that's where we're at.
You know, speaking of that, just as an aside for the signage, I work in Hoffman Estates, and Hoffman Estates has got the topper, and it just reads Village of Hoffman Estates, and it really does look cool. And not even having a neighborhood sign, and they've got a lot of neighborhoods as big as our Hoffman Estates is. It stretches all over the place. But on the main streets, I go down Algonquin Road, you know you're in Hoffman Estates. Whereas, you know, and I go through a bunch of towns, Rolling Meadows, Hoffman Estates, and Barrington, and actually Hoffman Estates is the only one that has that. So it really is a good identifier, even if we don't go with the neighborhood signs, which are really nice for the folks that have lived here for a long time, and for new people, new residents, and say, hey, you know, I live in Hollywood Ridge or whatever. That'd be cool too. But even from the perspective, because towns change. You drive down Dundee Road, think about how many towns you're
in and out of Wheeling.
Yeah, you go in and out of Wheeling, and you know, like right from our street west, you're in Wheeling, then you're in Buffalo Grove, for like 2 blocks, then you're in Wheeling again, and then you're in Buffalo Grove.
Doesn't Arlington Heights sneak up there somewhere?
Somewhere on the other side.
yeah.
Yeah, so it is cool, and it's a great concept, so, anyway, that was just an aside.
We're moving on to the next general topic, which is economic development. So there's one goal that pertains to our group here: coordinate town center review and approval. So this is the Urban R2 project, the WIC site. The main objective is to guide the developer through the PUD process. And in April, the Plan Commission reviewed the concept for that development. And right now, we're just waiting for the developer to submit for preliminary PUD hearing. And we are anticipating that in November at this point.
Can you talk about any of the delays they've encountered? I've had people ask me, are they ever going to start on this thing?
It's complicated.
I mean, I know about they found the underground
it falls on the
pipeline and-
developer to make decisions, and sometimes it has to do with their financing. Right, the pipeline has caused some delay. They're weighing their options about if they should move it, when they move it, the costs of moving it. Yeah.
Okay.
All right, so we're moving on to the next topic, which is transportation and infrastructure goals. There's one main objective here, that's to expand beautification initiatives. The first objective, evaluate the effectiveness of the village's facade improvement grant program and recommend modifications if necessary. So the Plan Commission first reviewed the facade improvement program in June. Staff distributed a survey that you took home. You completed and then sent back to staff. Staff tallied those remarks, those recommendations from the survey, and presented the Plan Commission's findings in July. A draft memo was presented from staff to the Plan Commission, along with, there was a chart that describes the changes to those properties, the before and after, the impacts to the community, the impacts to the character of the neighborhood and to the properties themselves. And so the Plan Commission, staff provided a memo from the Plan Commission, again, to the village manager and to the village board with those findings and recommendations that occurred in mid-July. And again, status is we're waiting for our response. The second objective is to develop a village-wide streetscape plan. So going back a few years, there was a streetscape subcommittee within the Plan Commission. They worked diligently on a very large portfolio of ideas and findings, presented it to the village board in March of 2012. Since then, and well before the strategic plan came out, the Plan Commission has been working on many of those ideas and concepts that are streetscape related. And those include the Neighborhood Streetscape Initiative, the design guidelines that have been codified in the zoning ordinance, and the Neighborhood Identification Program, which is directly related to the strategic plan. I would like to give an update on the Neighborhood Streetscape Initiative. You may recall we talked about creating little gathering places with, a bench and maybe identification, maybe some place for people just to gather. You may have seen at the village board meeting a few weeks or maybe a month ago that the village is engaging in the Cook County No Cash Bid program. We've identified a property at 896 Valley Stream, It's tax delinquent property, and so the village is pursuing this parcel and at no cost, and it would help us to connect to Childerley Park to provide bikeway connections possibly, or walkway connections. It would definitely fall within streetscape objectives as well as the objectives earlier under residential life for, improve pedestrian ways. So this is definitely, something that we talked about earlier this summer. We talked about, and now we are implementing through programs that are out there. So that's just one example. And then I think it would be a good opportunity for us tonight to talk about any other ideas that you have related to the streetscape planning. Sure.
Can I go back and talk about the facade thing
Oh, yeah.
a second? Would it be possible, I know there are a lot of conditions associated with the facade improvement. It's got to be in a TIF and
Yes.
this and that and some other things. But as property owners come before us that may be in a TIF eligible entity, but they're only looking for a sign, or they're only changing some landscaping, or they're only, could we add something in the docket, that section where you give all the stats and stuff, to remind us that this might be a facade improvement eligible property, so that maybe we could remind
Oh, okay.
the petitioners?
Sure. Yeah, we could definitely add an item in a TIF district, yes or no? Or enlisting what TIF district, yes.
Or if you think they might be eligible for a TIF.
Sure. And just so you're
help.
aware, anytime a petitioner comes and meets with staff or talks to staff about their upcoming projects, if they're in a TIF district and we think that they're eligible for funding, we definitely recommend that they pursue that grant.
Wouldn't hurt if we
It wouldn't hurt.
helped as well.
Right.
Because I think that's probably one of the best benefits that we can really bring to the community, is to help get some of that
Definitely.
antiquated facade brought up to date. Thank you for the interruption.
Sure, we can, thank you, Brooke. Thank you for the update.
Sure.
So again, this is tied to, I keep on closing both of them, and I don't need to close both of them. This is tied to the vision statement and that we have, and as Brooke mentioned, the, economic development, if you look at or even the residential life, there are 3 goals that they have: further connect people and places with additional and improved sidewalks and paths, seek to increase neighborhood engagement and awareness, encourage a good working relationship, working partnership with school districts to address common issues affecting districts and the village board. So what staff has pointed out is those that really that could impact the Plan Commission. For instance, using as an example, something that really, the new sidewalks, I believe, like you said, Terry, they've put away, they've allocated money, they have capital improvement plans going, they have a capital improvement plan to replace sidewalks. So they're all coming to fruition. They might not be very visible to all of us, but they are coming to fruition. So that's good. It's a great plan, and this is a good update. But back to, again, if we can get an update on some of these, I see a couple of 716s on here, 717, that we haven't seen something from John and or staff as an update. So we can either move forward on those, and if there's some changes that they want us to make, we'd be more than willing to do that. But then you also mentioned the last one, develop a village-wide streetscape plan. You know, we have neighborhood streetscape initiatives, design guidelines. I mean, we've put together design guidelines for, you know, very nice packet that we have. Does Ted have that? Did we send that to, a copy
Yes.
of that?
Yes.
Okay, all right. Does anybody have any other ideas, or in general, in any of the areas of the strategic plan? Terry?
I was thinking last week, and I don't know why, but I was thinking about some of the key areas in town that I think that really Wheeling is known for. You know, it's known for the airport, it's known for the restaurant row. Hopefully it's going to be known for town center. I mean, that should be a major focus. What else did I have? You know, are there some other key areas in town like that we should really, if we ever get around to looking at the comprehensive plan again, kind of focus on trying to ensure that the character of those areas is maintained and nurtured and developed and whatever. You know, and if there are more of those areas, I had four, I can't think of the fourth, but, you know, if there are some areas like that, might be nice just to think about them and then try to work that in. You know, I think it's part of the economic development vision because it talks about the airport and.
Well, you said keeping the flavor of a key area.
Well,
Or you might
to
want
nurture it,
Oh.
to
Okay, I was thinking the
promote
opposite.
it, promote it.
Okay, I was thinking the opposite.
Ooh.
Of maybe there's some areas that we want to focus on as we want to do something different. You know, I'm just throwing that out
Yeah,
there.
that's
You know,
fine too.
And I don't know that, but, well, I personally, from my standpoint, I think one of the biggest things is going to be the town center and how that ties into the campus, the village campus, making it a village campus, tying it to the Park District and being one. I personally think that that's going to be a huge, huge undertaking.
Well, that's coming, right?
Yeah.
Hopefully we will be involved in that.
Oh, I know, yeah, but that one's going to take a lot of nurturing and movement along. I've always wondered, you know, is it possible to have, I know it's not the right terminology, but we've built up the center area around Milwaukee and Dundee, and that, you know, really, it's beginning to look nice after years and years of work there. But can there be more done in that area? And I know there, you know, I'm sure, you know, John Malanofi is, you know, just, he's probably got so many great ideas that, you know, it's, again, maybe it's really getting some of the vision from the village board too. And that actually ties back, and I actually asked President Argyris about this. And 5/14 is an interesting date because 5/14 to 15, 5/14 of last year, we had a joint meeting, and we haven't had a joint meeting in over a year, well over a year. It was May of 2014 that we had a meeting. And I think it was when Commissioner Vito joined that
was my first meeting.
That was your first meeting. That's what I thought, your first meeting. And you come into that first meeting, not knowing, now we had, you know, Steve and Don and myself and Terry and Pam had been to a few of those. So one of the things that I would like to see, and I know probably this year is going to be tough to pull one of those off, but I want to make sure that we get that on our agenda for next year and make it a regular calendar event, so we can discuss things like we talked about.
Well, I guess, you know, I think I sent you and Brooke some questions on the comprehensive plan and stuff, and, you know, my vision that's, you know, has been long-standing was to create some kind of an overlay area for Restaurant Row, the airport, town center, whatever, so that we could define the character and guide, if you will, you know, like the comprehensive plan tries to guide the character of development in a given area.
But really, a couple of things there, and they mention it. You meant, is it? Well, in one area, I think it was it Residential Life? No, it has to be in the economic development where you mentioned marketing plans. So I'm not certain that we couldn't do it with their goals here of using marketing plans and developing properties through community development, and not using our code, which I think you imply is using the code to spur the economic development.
Or to, yes.
You know,
Well, to use either the code or the comprehensive plan or an overlay entity to
and I'm not
kinda
certain,
help.
and I'm not certain that we have that. We have that consensus across the village board and staff. I know you've brought it up many times, but I'm not certain that and there again would be a perfect time to have a joint meeting to have that discussion with the village board and how that would, in addition to marketing plans, how that would spur or create development. Because
you know,
I don't, that's a tough one. But anyway, go ahead.
well, I guess my comment.
We're all smiling.
I guess my comment is, right, I mean, you know, take Restaurant Row, Milwaukee Avenue. There's a certain zoning code for Milwaukee Avenue. There are probably some things that would be allowed by our zoning code that you might not want to have on Milwaukee Avenue if it's Restaurant Row, if you want to maintain the Restaurant Row feeling, whatever you want to call it. And I don't know that that's true, but all I'm saying is there might be some things in our zoning code that you might not like for that particular area. But you couldn't prohibit it. If somebody came in tomorrow and said, I want to build a blah.
Well, but that's not changing the zoning. That's ensuring that the uses in a particular area are either
Right, but
permitted or special, you know, because we've run into that and we've corrected some of those things.
But I
So-
mean, that's where the comprehensive plan can help influence some of that. And an overlay zone, I believe, if my understanding of an overlay zone is correct, that it can definitely help
I just don't,
confirm.
I don't know if, well,
We can
One of the things-
We
one
can
of-
ask Mallory that question, right? I mean,
In order to create a overlay district, we'd have to change the code.
Microphone.
To create it. Oh, in order to at least create an overlay district, as far as what you can and can't do under it, I'd have to probably get back to you on that specific aspects. But the code would have to be changed to create it.
right.
So I know that, so that definitely would be something probably we'd want to run by the board first to see if that's something they'd want
So,
to create.
right, yeah. Didn't we,
Last year.
last year we reviewed some of that, I know because we had some new members on the board at the time, including, because I've never been here for an overlay district. When I joined, I think there used to be sign districts that you used to have red and whatever, and I think when I was joining, they were saying, now we're getting rid of those, we want them to be creative, we just don't want red signs all over. We don't want them to say Taylor, we don't want them to say bank, we want some creativity, which you guys built upon. But we presented some of that, and I know we presented it to this board for an understanding. And I'll be honest with you, I don't know, did that go to the village board?
Yes.
I don't think we
remember.
came up with a consensus ourselves.
There
though.
was, if you don't mind me
Sure.
interjecting,
Yeah.
staff did conduct quite a bit of research, put together a packet of material that presented the ideas of the Plan Commission for using an overlay district and the purpose of it to foster development in these key areas like the airport and Restaurant Row. And it was objectively laid out, here are the pros and cons, and here are some of the outcomes. And that information was given on to the village board before your last joint meeting in May of 2014. That was specifically provided so that if the village board had feedback for the Plan Commission, that they could provide it during that meeting. I don't believe any feedback was provided on that topic.
So how do we, okay, to that point, if we wanted to, because that could be a strategic goal, it could be. Yeah. So how would we, as a commission, try to, for 16, 17, whenever we, I'm sure they're going to review this on an annual basis. I'm not sure how often they review strategic goals. I mean, we do our 5-year plan every year, so I don't know.
I think this is a new thing.
Right, yeah, so it's a new thing. So how would we, could you ask maybe John or, work with Andrew and John to say, if we had an idea, irrespective of it being overlay district or whatever, another plan that we think might be something that should be considered for a goal, how do we go about doing that?
Okay,
I mean, we've got,
yeah.
I mean, considering we are, we're as President Argyris indicated, we're the front door to development people, residents that come in for permits or whatever. So we do see a lot of things here, and we do have some input. How do we present some of that? How do we present a potential goal?
So, we'll talk to John about because I don't know exactly their procedure for updating or amending the strategic plan or coming out with a new one or an updated version. Obviously, I think they usually have a workshop to discuss it, and so submitting it in advance of that or speaking at that meeting would be probably
Or
the
probably
most-
submitting it somehow?
Yeah, submitting it. So we'll ask John and Andrew you know, we can find out from John what the plan is with the strategic plan, any updates to it, and then the means by which to submit, and then, once we know that, we can then discuss,
Okay,
if the plan commission wants to submit ideas with a consensus, like these are the consensus that we would like the board to consider as a group, or if you guys want to do just
Exactly.
individual, or both.
right. Well, I
You know,
would,
if
yeah.
it's going to be obviously, if you want to submit things as a consensus, as though this is what the plan commission would like to do, we'd want to make that clear versus if someone wanted to individually submit something,
Right.
like as a, you know, just as a resident would want to.
I would think that we as a plan commission would want to submit something to the village board with consensus,
Okay.
without a doubt.
Well, okay.
Granted, we're all citizens and taxpayers of this village, but we, as the plan commission, should submit something as consensus.
Okay, so Brooke and I can talk to
Right.
John and ask him if he knows about updates to the.
Yeah, and I'm sure they
strategic
haven't
plan,
even thought that,
and also the means, so that way we know kind of how far out it would be.
sure, yeah, I think
You
that'd
know,
be
so that
great.
way we could get, you know, ideas can start being thrown back and forth, and consensus can be reached, and then, obviously, as Brooke indicated, the last time when, you know, the overlay district was submitted, a significant amount of research and
Right.
packet went into it, so we want to give
Do you still
staff.
have that packet? Do you still have that information? Is it, do you remember, can you go back in the archives? I mean, I keep all of my stuff, but could you give me a range as to when we presented it so I can go back and look at it?
Sure, I can find that out.
Yeah, just a range, you know, because as long as it was post-iPad, pre-iPad,
It should have been last
it's
year.
probably in a recycle bin somewhere. Yes,
But just to make a statement, the overlay concept, I'm not comfortable that the plan commission had consensus on it. Brooke, do you remember did we vote on it or anything? I just don't remember that we were that firm on it.
Yeah, I don't think there was a vote on
and-
it. I think there were just ideas
Right.
that we thought perhaps it might be worthwhile to explore.
That's
And
what
it was
it wa-
suggested to the village board.
That's what it was, Jim. It was suggestions from us to discuss at the village board at
The joint meeting.
joint meeting. That's what it was.
did we,
And so there was a lengthy packet of information relative to this specific topic that was given to the village board, but from reading the minutes of that meeting, because I wasn't there,
Never came up.
it was not discussed.
But the comment I want to make, Jim, is if I can't convince you guys that it's worth doing, I wouldn't even try to move it on.
oh,
to
right,
the
and that's what
village board.
I was saying, consensus, right.
Right.
Exactly, consensus of the board, the plan commission here before, yeah, without a doubt, that's where I was going with that. Right. So if you can get that information, and, Paul, do you remember that discussion on overlay districts?
Vaguely, I remember. I do remember we were talking about
I know.
going to a joint.
Right. Joint something, not just, don't stop it. Don't stop it going to a joint. We need to go a little bit further than go to a joint meeting. Okay, you were here and Commissioner Powers, but Commissioner Sianis wasn't here. So if we could resurrect that, that would be great. I'd like to see that again. I'm not convinced that that's the right direction to go, an overlay district. But, you know, I'm one person. I'm one person, so if we can get that, that'd be great. Okay. Any other comments? Questions? No? So what would be the next steps here? I'm trying to, and
Well, the next steps were suggested that we ask for some sort of response on the memos that were forwarded on to the village board.
right?
But also, I'm suggesting the plan commission, and you don't obviously need to come up with this tonight, but think about how you want to contribute to the streetscape plan. What are some other ideas?
Okay. Excellent, okay.
And these, just as a reminder, these are the items that relate directly to the strategic plan, but the Plan Commission can have other priorities.
Right.
And so, I don't know if you want to segue to the next. The other things the Plan Commission work on regularly, obviously, are updates to the zoning code. And so I just made a short list of some upcoming amendments that you'd probably want to work on based upon your last priority list.
Did you like my segue?
Yes, thank you.
It's good.
Very smooth.
It was smooth.
Thank you.
Very smooth. I thought it was great, so
If you
thank
don't
you.
mind, I'll take it.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
And so I can go through these. The first item, non-industrial uses in the industrial districts. This is something we've been working with the last several years with specialty schools and, sports and recreation centers that are looking at industrial areas and that would not normally, and these locations would not normally have a lot of pedestrian activity. They certainly wouldn't have a lot of children going and coming from these buildings. And now the owners and tenants are proposing these uses with a lot of people, and it could cause conflicts in the parking lot and whatnot, and times of day, hours of operation. Maybe there would be conflicts with the other tenants and neighboring uses. And so it's something to think about. Does this actually require an amendment to the code, or is this maybe just something that we set up in the staff report with better questions to help prepare the Plan Commission?
Interesting.
I think in the past on a couple of those type items, we have come up with things like lighting may need to be changed, walking areas need to be better designated and stuff like that. Now, would those have to suggest, do those kinds of ideas have to be codified in a zoning code ordinance, or are those, is there another way of implementing that kind of activity when, maybe as part of a special use or something
Well,
like
that's what I
that?
was gonna say. Are these uses special uses in the industrial?
Yes, they are special.
And those are good conditions for a special use because these are causing, obviously the reason it's special use is because they're unique concerns are the ones Brooke just discussed. So having better lighting or fences or whatever, if the conditions are related to relieving the impact of this new use, those are fine to just do as conditions rather than codifying them. There might be some other aspect, but there are certain, and I don't know if there's a specific type that maybe, we can discuss. There are certain type of special uses that have conditions already in the code. What are some, massage parlors are one. There's a couple, but I don't know if any of these would be unique enough. They might just be better as conditions.
Yeah, I don't know. But it's definitely something we
Yeah,
can
we can-
investigate.
yeah, we can
This is
investigate.
just a short list.
Yeah.
And
I think
staff will do more
I-
research on it.
If we could just get, maybe in the future, time permitting, Brooke, I know that's not too easy nowadays, but maybe get a list from other towns on things that they might do for those kinds of situations that we haven't thought of yet, and then we could have kind of a checklist of items to look at when these situations, these kinds of special uses come up, because it does seem like there's a lot of that kind of activity going on into our industrial
Right.
area.
Any other comments?
No, not on that one, no.
Okay, so number 2 came straight out of your last priority list.
Yes, definitely.
Easing the outdoor seating restrictions.
I thought we had done that. I thought we had put something in place, but it must not have been.
I thought so too, but maybe it was just discussion.
Yeah. It wasn't marked off as completed, so That's why I put it on the list.
Well, I
So I
think
wasn't
that-
sure exactly if anyone knew exactly what this is about.
No, just, that's the simple statement, easing the outdoor seating restrictions. I know Commissioner Stylen, when we have we have a restaurant that comes in, that's one of the first
Right.
things he asks.
Yeah.
So if we can make that easier for them, to make it attractive for them, I'm all for it.
We already allow for, is it 8 seats or 12 seats? I can't remember, without requiring parking for those outdoor seats. So we already amended the code for that a few years ago. Beyond that, I'm not sure what you're looking for. So that's why I put it on the list.
I guess none of us remember.
Okay,
either.
well, I could check the minutes of that last meeting and see if maybe there was more discussion.
Okay, yeah, that'd be great.
And then the last item, you should be very familiar with, we just reviewed this very specific requirement with the Center for Seniors that adult day services must be at least 500 feet from the RPZ or transition area. The Plan Commission recommended that variation. The village board approved it, and
Well, I think we need to.
and so it seems that we should remove this requirement.
Yeah, not that it's likely to happen again,
Right.
Right, but if we could,
but
yeah.
yeah, since we have a facility for children even closer than the facility for seniors.
Right.
I don't know if anyone else has any other items to consider at this time.
I don't.
Okay, well, if you think of it, please email me,
Okay,
and then we'll add it to the list.
that's good.
That's all I have in terms of the Plan Commission priority list.
Okay. Does anybody have any other comments on this specifically? Good, well, good, thank you for the update, Brooke, I appreciate that.
No problem.
And the attorneys are going to be here in October?
October 15th.
Okay, great, thank you. All right.
Well, I'm always here, Jim. But
I know,
Jim will
I'm
be
sorry.
doing- Jim will be
I'm sorry,
doing
I
it.
should have been
other
specific. I should have been specific, I'm sorry, Mallory.
We will be providing a song and dance for you.
Great, okay. We've gone through staff updates, okay. Other business, Commissioner Powers,
I have nothing.
Commissioner Sianis,
I have nothing.
Commissioner Johnson.
Yes, I do have something. I had the pleasure of attending the ribbon cutting for the new Creekside Health Center at 300 McHenry Road in Creekside Plaza. It is a beautiful, beautiful job they did. They're open 6 days a week. They have 3 on-site physicians, and they said among them, they speak 7 languages. It's, you'd never know it was a garden party outlet. If you didn't walk into the building, you'd never know that's what it used to be. It's beautiful, state-of-the-art, from the flooring to the lighting, the art on the walls. It's just incredible job.
And they're, I assume they're open.
Yes, they've been, I heard they were open for a month, and this was their official opening.
Cool.
That's it. I would suggest all of you stop in and,
When you're healthy.
when you're healthy, yeah. I don't want to put a curse on anybody.
Right, yeah.
Just check it out while you can still walk.
Walk.
Do they have dentists over there?
No, there were no dentists. They did put out a nice little spread of food, though.
That's that one again. Commissioner Zangara.
One thing, I was driving down Hints today, and I saw them clearing that site that what was it, the condo building or
The
the
apartments?
apartment building? Yeah, they're clearing that site. They were out there
Oh,
cutting
finally?
trees down and everything. And that just brought me to a thing of, maybe if we could add more stuff to Brooks' table. A yearly thing, like we go through all, just kind of like a spreadsheet, just a yearly update on all the items that we had for review, some open, some closed, where the status is by, you know, that we review.
Yeah, nice end of the year thing.
Well,
Yeah, actually, for the end of the year, actually, yeah, for the end of the year, not next week.
no.
And actually, that is a good point, because we do, I mean, there's a lot of stuff that comes before us that you wonder,
I thought that we had those 3 cannabis places come in, and has there been any status with the wheel?
So what
We lost
happened,
all that.
We didn't get,
Okay.
they weren't awarded the state license, so
Okay.
none of them went through.
yeah, they were, I think, the one for this district was Niles?
No.
I thought it was Mount Prospect.
Mount Prospect.
Oh, Mount Prospect, okay, yeah, Mount Prospect. I knew it was south of here, and, yeah, so,
And there's only one in the whole
Right.
police district.
yeah,
so
one of them. So that's the joint we can't go to.
You want just like new construction, not versus like signs and.
Not
minor
signs,
site-
yeah.
Like
No,
minor
not-
site plans,
Not minor, major site plans and,
but like new, all the new stuff.
yeah, we don't want
Okay.
signs, no, not signs, no, jeez.
The
Louise.
Starbucks is still there.
Yes. It is still there,
You were approved this menu board,
right.
working.
But that's all I had.
Commissioner Stylen.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Just a note to the public that this is the 50th anniversary of the Wheeling Historical Society. And for that, they will be holding a beer and brat fest at Heritage Park this Sunday, 1 to 7 p.m. Entertainment will be provided. Beer and wine will be available for purchase, along with brats and hot dogs and chips and apple cake and whole bunches of other stuff. So everybody come on over. We have a couple bands that will be playing. If you like good old German Oompa music.
Where will the parking be? The Park District parking? And
Yeah, we'll be utilizing the band shell over at Heritage Park.
Right.
So parking will be available there, and I think some of Village Hall might be used. And
This is the first one in a number of years, right?
it's been quite a while since we've used to have them regularly, but it's the 50th anniversary, so we're doing special things this year.
As I was saying, I moved into the village in 1977. And, of course, my in-laws were still here. And that was, even before I was married, that was an event to go to. It was, it used to be at Dundee and Milwaukee, behind the bank. The bank was still there, the building was still there. And it was in between the bank and the grocery store. And it was so much fun going with my in-laws and their friends. And then they moved it up to Chevy Chase for a number of years there. And it was actually, it was a combination beer and brat fest and art fair. It was a lot of fun. I'm looking forward to it. I hope we revitalize and it comes back again year after year. Cool.
Okay, so, and another thing that I noticed was Dunhurst Plaza, the last couple of days, they've shut down all their dead trees. I counted, yesterday I counted 15 stumps, and today the stumps are gone. They're just wood chips laying around. Are we going to get replacement trees eventually, do you think?
Yes, that is a requirement. We're working with them on identifying what species they would like to plant.
Within their lot, right?
Yes.
They're just south of the sidewalk, so they were lined up along Dundee Road, but on their property.
They're on the private property. yes.
I think Trustee Lang brought that up at one of the meetings just recently because he had mentioned the same thing. He saw all of these trees being cut down and what was the plan, and you just mentioned it again, that,
Well, I think there were some other areas that they were talked about too, that there are a lot of trees on not only commercial property, but private property, because I think Commissioner or Trustee Brady brought up, why don't we get see if we could get some kind of list of tree trimmers or something like that to help the residents chop down their trees that are emerald ash borer.
Yeah, it is amazing how difference, and I see it on Dundee Road, west of our subdivision. We used to, we walk that a lot, and walking now, it used to be nice and shady, like in the morning or at night coming back, it'd be nice and shady, the sun wouldn't be in your eyes. Now, in the morning, that sun is just right there, the trees are gone, and
But I don't know how it is in Steve's neighborhood or Paul, your neighborhood, but we had a lot of ash trees in our neighborhood. It looks like a brand-new neighborhood,
Yeah.
Little trees and...
I unfortunately had an ash in front of my house that was just probably, I want to say 6 years old, and they came out and said it was diseased and it was gone. 2 minutes gone. I need a tree back. I need a tree, so, cool.
Talk to Lori, she...
Oh, yeah, I know, yeah, I think they're going to do it in the fall, probably. Yep. Anything else?
Nope, that's it, thank you.
I'm glad you mentioned the Beer and Bratfest. I was going to mention that also. It sounds like fun. Just a question, Brooke, and I would have had nothing except I walked out of my car today and I looked to the west and I saw the cement company, Ozinga. I thought we had said that was a sign but it's still there.
Yes, as far as I know, it was determined to be a sign, and I believe they're out of compliance. I'm not sure what the status is of that. I can check with Andrew.
Thank you. And did you notice that the facade improvement grant program is a FIG?
Yeah.
I noticed that too. Okay. Anything else? Valerie, anything?
One quick one.
Oh, okay. Yes.
Brooke, do you know what's happening with the new streetlights on Dundee Road? They were moving along so quickly, and now that whole crew has disappeared. And
Right. What I've heard is the project may not be completed until next year.
Oh, that's too bad.
I don't know the reason.
I mean, they've got all the wiring in as
Right,
far as I
I
can
don't know
tell.
what
and-
complications came up. I'm sorry.
Okay. Because next year they were supposed to start at our end.
Oh,
All right, thanks.
I'm good. I'm good.
You're good?
I'm good.
anything else? No?
I just laughing that we had 17 planning commissioners on our committee last week.
Oh, yeah.
We had 10 absentees last week.
Oh. Okay. Do I hear a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? We're done. Thank you, Brooke.